Rodriguez here in the service. Played through. Open man! Great stop by Blake. He keeps this game afloat for Jamaica.
All I can say first up is what a hard-fought victory that was. 3 points, and honestly that is the most important thing at the end of the day, as we can see with the game against Cuba, where I thought we played well and only came away with 1 point. But let's dissect the game a bit more. So honestly, we're going to start off as usual with the formation and lineup. This was a more traditional 4-4-2 by Steve McLaren, and he only made 2 changes from the game from Cuba. Out was Jamal Lowe and in was Norman Campbell, and Greg Lee came in and replaced right back Dexter Lemon-Kista, which means Greg Lee himself was playing right back. I'll have more on that a little bit later. But the other interesting tactical switch, of course, was that Reed was now playing much closer to Antonio up front, and Campbell, of course, take his spot on the right wing. So you were going up against a sturdy Honduras team that was playing a 4-4-1-1. Now to look back on Greg Lee at right back, a lot of people are wondering why would we put our left back there at right back. Well, for one, we are short on right backs at the moment. Number 2, Dexter was literally looking like he was out of breath at the end of the game against Cuba. And number 3, I'm quite sure it seems that McLaren did his homework on this Honduras team. His opponent, the number 7 called Palmer, was heavily dependent on his right foot, and anytime he went at Lee, he would cut in on his inside, which is of course Lee's stronger side. So it seemed that McLaren was trying to play some chess there, and for the most part it did work, but it did cut off any meaningful supplies from that side of the wing, and Greg Lee was the one that was pushing much further up the wing compared to his bell on the opposite side. So it was a give or go there by McLaren. He gambled, and I guess largely for the most part it paid off. I wanted to look at more on the positive style that the Jamaicans came out with at the start of the game. They were on the front foot from minute 1, and honestly it seemed this was a clear instruction by McLaren, who wanted to probably take the sting out of the crowd early on. We were utilizing what seems to be some form of zonal pressing, which were trying to cage the Honduras into a mistake, which was working well in the first 20 minutes. Even better, we see more of what McLaren's style that he wants on his team coming to fruition. We saw the ball on the carpet more often than not. We saw almost everyone get a touch on the ball, build their confidence, and we were not afraid to play the ball back to Blake and invite pressure and then play out of it. So that again is a good thing. A lot of people on this platform and others told me that, do not watch that 70% against Cuba. It was just Cuba. But here we go against Honduras, who was pressing and were able to still play through the lines. Very impressive. Also from the Cuba game, a lot of people were saying we should not watch a performance of Latibadair in an essential defensive midfield role, and Honduras would be a bigger test. And I guess he passed, but just barely. He was okay for the most of the game. Yes, he did well breaking up plays as well. He had made some absolutely crucial blocks in his own box, especially here in the second half. Again, you can see he has a bit of weakness with the ball at his feet and pressure in his back. He coughed up a lot of opportunities in his own half. And you would think that when the Jamaican team would probably play at his best, we would have a real elite center defensive midfielder in that role. But again, he didn't have a bad game, and I have to give him credit there. The other good standout person in that midfield was actually Palmer. This definitely was a great window for him. He didn't exactly play the same role he did in the Cuba game. He was more back as a number 8 in this one, but he still had license when ready to go forward and try to get into the game. But in this game, we got to say more of the dirty work he can do, and he did his best to try to break up the plays on the top of the box and then carry the ball going forward. It wasn't spectacular, of course, but it was definitely serviceable. But that also led to probably one of the few negatives from the game as well. It was that Bobby Reed, especially in the first half, was basically invisible. With the switch up from the Cuba game and Palmer being more back into midfield, Bobby Reed was given more the license to help Antonio up front, and you see he struggled to get into the game. He's not obviously a type of forward that can hold the ball up with his back towards goal, and of course he's not the type of forward that has the burning pace to stretch the midfield. He was trying to get onto the ball and do some creativity, but even then he wasn't necessarily finding the space to receive the ball as often as you would like. But credit to him, the two big plays in this match was all down to him doing something. He got the ball down from the left wing and swing over to the right for Norman Campbell, and I thought he overplayed it, but credit to Norman Campbell to do some nifty work to try to find him back in the 60-yard box, and his positioning of course caused the Hondurans to kick the ball in his own goal. So well done to him there. And then for the winner, again, I think he overplayed a pass for Antonio in the box, but in the end it was just enough bait on the line to draw the keeper out and gave us a penalty. And towards the end of the game, he's running on fumes, but did his dirty work to try his best to try clog up that midfield and stop Honduras from going forward. Overall, a gritty game from him, nowhere near his best, but one we can appreciate at least. But my man of the match was easily Andre Blake. Not only it seemed that he's back to his best with some great shot stopping in the first and second half, but we actually saw him way more on the ball than I ever seen. He's definitely evolved in his game, and he was warned by McLaren a couple of days ago that he will see more balls at his feet, and I thought he handled it surprisingly well. I've never seen him have so much touches on the ball, and when he was under pressure numerous times in that first half, my heart almost jumped out of my mouth. But he managed to get by it, and to see him trying to place line splitting passes into the midfield to lock it over there was very intriguing and nerve-wracking at the same time. But a keeper number one job is to keep the shots from going into the goal, and he was at his best again. Once more, I just have to show this play again at the end of the game when he once again saved our lives. Magnificent performance by Blake. Of course, it wasn't all positive. There were some negatives I have to mention. Yes, I like that we're now trying to play a more positive style of football, knock it around as much as we can, build up from the back. But as you can see, we have not perfected yet, and many times we cough the ball in our own box and in our own final third that could have easily led to a goal. Of course, you think with the more and more they practice with this system and get used to McLaren asking of them, they might get better at it. But I must say, at least for this game, it was definitely nerve-wracking. The other negative, of course, is that we do seem to have an issue sometimes to lapse in concentration. Yes, I'm not saying no team is perfect in full 90 minutes, but a lot of times, again, trying to adjust the new passing game we are trying to build, there are times where I've caught the ball in unforced errors, and of course, we have to talk about the goal that we gave up to Honduras. It literally came second after scoring a goal of our very own, and in that moment, everybody knows in football, you're the most vulnerable. But it seemed that we were still a bit celebrating in our head, and our midfielders and defensive line backed off and gave the Honduras a lot of space to pick up their head and pick out a pass behind the back line, and of course it led to their only goal. We also, of course, lost concentration, I felt, on that last set piece towards the end. To see that guy get free in the box with basically no black shirt around him was a bit disheartening, knowing that the game was on the line and minutes were ticking away. Another negative I must mention is our attack. Our attack seemed to lack any real threat or cutting edge once we get to the final third, and it's really becoming a bit of a concern now because we have basically carved out some look-ins in the box, but yet we are slow to pull the trigger or to find the right combinations in the box. I'm not sure if the likes of Mason Greenwood will help us here, or even Leon Bailey, but certainly we have to start worrying about the attack, as our two goals tonight came, one from our own goal and one from the penalty spot. So again, of course, areas to brush up on, but we keep on moving. But that's basically all I really have to say about the game. It was a gritty, hard-fought victory. Honduras, of course, didn't make it easy. We didn't expect them to do it. And I have to give credit to the Jamaican players. They didn't lose their heads even after the game got a bit chippy. Honduras were now in the ascendancy after they scored their goal in the second half. They were trying to chirp away and get under our skins. And in the end, we managed to keep our cool. A lot of that had to do with the expert defensive and leadership display by Pinnock in the back. I thought it was absolutely immense. So I don't want to end this episode without giving him his credit. And the final credit, of course, has to go to Steve McLaren himself. He didn't hesitate this time with his substitution, and I felt all the substitutions he made in this match were definitely right on the money. Dixon came in and made a slight difference, of course, but I was more impressed with Kara Anderson and Jamal Lowe in the end, who gave us a lot of fresh legs, which led us to basically restart our zonal pressing from the front. So it definitely played in our hand to hold off Honduras in the end, and in fact, they should have even got the wrap-up goal when Lowe hit the keep and Anderson missed a follow-up shot. So McLaren, I thought, got it spot on. But let me know what you think in the comment section below. Was this a performance that made you much more happy? Are you still not happy with his coach tactics and lineup? Are there some of the players still not up to your liking? Let me know in the comment section below. But for me, these are the type of victories that are a bit sweeter, and you have to grind out a 3 points victory, especially in Concacaf. This could be immense experience for them going forward into the qualifiers. Because again, those World Cup qualifiers are the matches that matter the most. But alright guys, that's all from me here at Jamaican Funfair, and thank you for watching this review of the Jamaica versus Honduras game. We'll be back of course in October for more reggaeboyz stuff. But for all great reggaeboyz and JPL content, you're already at the right place. Jamaican Fun. You too, pick up yourself.